But have at the Spartacists.
Well, the Spartacus, they're too scared to be Spartacus. They're not really Spartacus enough, I guess. Spartacus wasn't like that. Hey, how's it going?
I don't know all that much about Spartacus. I know a little bit, but yeah.
So are you part of the Spartacus team or something? No. Okay, I was trying to talk to Spartacus, and the Spartacus is not brave enough, it seems like, to talk to me. And this gentleman, whose name I don't know, he suggested I talk to them.
Are you here to observe this wonderful observance of labor rights?
Of course I'm here for labor rights. I wish I found...
And labor rights are part of the American experience of organizing in America, going back to, as I said, the first Labor Day was held here. There's a commemorative plaque, actually.
Yeah.
And the right to union organizing is a democratic right, held dearly by the truest members of our society.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, different people try to abridge the momentum of labor rights, be they backward bosses, backward owners, etc. So there has to always be the agitation on behalf of labor. Without that eternal vigilance for labor rights, you end up with periods like the post-Reagan period where workers were just decimated, which they're slightly coming out of these, 40 years later.
I see. Okay.
The capitalist labor structure is inherently anti-democratic.
Why are you still wearing a mask? All right, nice talking to you.
Why am I still wearing a mask?
Yeah.
Because,
especially in the open air. It's totally useless, you know, unless it's N95 or something like that.
Yeah, hey, it's a KN95.
Do you have a lot of kind of followers? You're saying like this 60% of youngsters. You're trying basically to recruit the young people so that they will kind of follow this path and change the U.S. system into the Cuban-like system in America, right? That's your goal. So,
people actually understand what the problem is.
I'm sorry?
I said I think you'll find a lot of young people actually understand what the problem is.
Understand the problem, but do understand what the solution is.
Every solution is bound to no previously made solution can ever withstand contact with the problem. But there are ideas of what the solution is not.
So the Cuban, from what I understand, from my gather here from this nice lady, is that the solution to our ills is changing our system into what Cuba has now. That's what I heard. Loud and clear.
Well, if they said that, that might be their opinion, but...
Do you concur? I mean, you're a young person. That's your future. That's your country, the future of your country, of America. Do you agree with that, with this lady?
I don't necessarily taking Cuba as a model is the right idea because we're in America and our situations are different.
I see. See, but this young man disagrees with you. He says that Cuba is all right. Okay. I'm just trying to, I understand what... Got it. Okay. But are you from Cuba? Were you born in Cuba?
No, I've been in Cuba 4 times.
I see. But you're American born. You're in America.
I mean,
I see.
To be clear, I don't think Cuba is as bad as most people make it out. I have not been to Cuba, though I have had friends who have been to Cuba. And, when I say that I don't think the Cuban system is necessarily perfect for the United States, because any system made in another country isn't going to be perfect for another location. In fact, I don't think that, I honestly think that something like the United States is too large to really have any sort of cohesive system that works 100%. That doesn't mean that it can't be an existent thing or alive, but I do not think that, you can't just take a system that's meant for somewhere else and just cut it and paste it into another location. But I do think that we have a problem here in that our society is dependent on a wealthy class of people who are manipulating events for their own ends, for their own,
Well, from a Cuban perspective, no matter how much money you're making, of course, I have no idea how much money you're making, but from a Cuban perspective, you'll be wealthy. So my question is, where do you draw the line? I mean, who's wealthy in America? Is it like $1 million, $2 million, 100,000, 50,000? I mean, what's wealthy in America? In America, let's say, in your mind, who is wealthy? I always get perplexed by that kind of statement. Wealthy, but who is wealthy? How do you define it? You got to define it somehow, no?
Look, I cannot draw a single line and say someone on this side of the line is wealthy and someone on this other side of the line is not wealthy. Someone who makes as much money as I do, living up here in Manhattan, is not gonna, is gonna have a much better quality of life living even in North Carolina, because there are different, standards of living. There's different costs of living, and that's a thing that's going to happen. There's no way of writing a hard number on somebody is wealthy and somebody is not wealthy. But what is an important matter is, what does somebody do to obtain their wealth? Now, does somebody obtain their wealth primarily through their own labor, or through the labor that they have done, or does someone primarily obtain their wealth through the ownership of things that generate wealth?
So which one do you think should work? Should be illegal?
I don't think it's as hard and fast as that, but I think that that people that labor, that somebody's labor, that somebody's ability to work for the good of the whole of the community is what should determine wealth. If anything is to determine wealth, it should be from labor, not from ownership.
Okay, do you believe...
Cut down those signs.
All right. Okay, see you later. See you in Cuba. Actually, you know what? I was actually born and raised in the USSR. So I lived there for 29 years. And honestly, when I spoke with Cubans when I lived in the USSR, and it was a horrible, horrible place to live in, I remember... you disagree with that?
I said no, you get no argument from me on that one.
It is horrible. Okay, yes. Of course.
They know how to run these digital systems of control, and they're busy bringing them online. They're busy bringing the online slavery system. You'll be tracked and traced for your every move, and the people that didn't get what COVID was about, just check the dress rehearsal that they held. The dress rehearsal that they held in New York City on October 18th, 2019, with a big sign on the wall that said coronavirus. Okay? Did you ever hear that before? They held the dress rehearsal for it. 2 months before you ever heard about it, they discussed every detail. Exactly how they were going to handle it and what they were going to do about it. Right? Which was nothing. They were going to let it run. And anybody that criticized it was going to be taken offline. Basically, everything that they've done. Okay, everything that they
except we call it China virus.
Yeah, they call it the China virus.
China virus. That's the correct way of calling it.
I would call it the Fauci virus if I were you.
Fauci virus.
Fauci
That's also
is the
true.
one that funded it. He sent Dr. Fauci, as we said 2 years ago in this very spot. Coronavirus was invented by Anthony Fauci. Okay?
Correct.
He funded it. He created it. He took the virus to China when he was criticized in the United States for continuing that bioweapons research. He took the research to China, and that's why you have the Wuhan lab, because of Anthony Fauci. It was perfectly obvious 2 years ago, just as well as today. Okay?
Correct. I'm with you on that.
I would call it the China virus.
It is China virus.
Yeah, well, they want you to hate China and Russia.
Wait. If it originated from China, I mean, if it originated in America, would have called it American virus. Or if it originated in Russia, would have been Russian.
The Spanish flu originated in America, right? But they don't call it the American flu.
Yeah, but nobody objected to calling it Spanish flu. Spaniards were not.
There's plenty of people that objected. But just
Spaniards
didn't
back
hear
then.
about it. We don't hear about anything. We don't hear about the people. The Spanish flu, all of that.
Yeah, but it's nothing personal. It's just geography. That's all.
I just want to say that, no, a worldwide pandemic doesn't just come along every 100 years or so. That is absolutely insane. There is no way that the so-called pandemic could have occurred by natural means. Nothing has changed in our lifetime. Nothing has fundamentally changed. As a matter of fact, things have gotten somewhat better over time until the reversal of the last 10 years or so. However, when you have a pandemic, worldwide shutdown of 190 countries, doesn't that make you people a little suspicious that it's never happened before, and all of a sudden it happens all over the world at the same time, and the whole world is shut down? Come on, man. As Joe Biden would say, come on, man. Bullshit, okay? It didn't happen naturally. It happened through pandemic planning conferences. Pandemic planning conferences. And that's all there is to it. Now, the people that deny this, that go on believing it all, you think it's over with? No way, baby. It's not over. The great pandemic is coming. They've already told you that.
So what's your plan?
The plan is get rid of the guy that just told you that. CDC former director of the Center for Disease Control, Robert Redfield, has just told you the bird flu pandemic is going to be the great pandemic. This was just a wake-up call, and he is awaiting the new pandemic called the bird flu pandemic. He just got done telling you that. It's going to be a great pandemic. So have a great time, folks. There's going to be another pandemic. This is the CDC director. I would pay close attention to everything he says if I were you. There's going to be another pandemic. That's why this was just basically a training exercise. Now that you've got a reflex action, put on a mask, hide in your homes. They've got everybody down with the program, okay? That way they launch a great pandemic. Pretty soon your entire country will be under lockdown permanently.
So what is your solution?
Under a digital system, it's perfectly obvious what they're doing.
Well, I only partially agree with him as far as the latest pandemic is concerned.
I don't agree with
but
him.
conspiracy theory, no.
Yeah, no problem.
Do you play the violin?
Ukulele, actually.
What's that?
Ukulele, actually.
It's ukulele, okay.
No problem.
That's the first time in American
Yeah, but
history.
God bless this country. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, and I can say that he's said a bunch of things that he feels is the truth.
Well,
He's entitled to believe that they are.
oh,
the truth.
absolutely, of course. I don't,
He hasn't said a shred of what anybody should do about anything.
well,
Tell me
Yeah.
I'm wrong.
well, that's going to be the next chapter. But as far as this pandemic is concerned, yeah, it definitely came from the Wuhan lab. There's no doubt about it. Escape, just an accident. That's the way I see it.
In the end, does it really matter if
Yes, it does.
is-
No. It absolutely matters. It absolutely. You know what really matters? What really matters, and that's where I fault the Chinese communists, is had it happened in America, accidents do happen. You know, huge, horrible accidents do happen. It was a huge, horrible accident. Had it happened in any free country, free society, according to World Health Organizations, just common sense, they would have notified the rest of the world. They would have put big SOS. They would have been big alarm. Guys, we have a problem. What did Chinese do? They disappeared the scientists. They disappeared the people who worked at the lab.
No objection
They
from
covered
me.
up.
Look,
And that's
I
how
am-
this virus spread all around the world.
I'm a staunch anti-authoritarian.
Who?
I'm a staunch anti-authoritarian.
Okay.
I despise the government in China, to be quite honest.
Of course.
And
You should,
for
but you
very
like socialism,
similar
though.
reason, I despise the government of the former USSR. from
Okay.
the very least the point when Stalin took over, and probably well before that.
I'm sorry?
I said from at the very least the point where Stalin took over, and probably well before that.
Oh, okay.
But
No difference.
I don't think that socialism is necessarily or even possible of the authoritarianism.
Socialism is as evil as it gets. There has never been more evil, inhumane system ever in the history of humankind than so-called socialism, communism. It really makes no difference. It's dictatorship in its purest and most evil form, the most evil form.
To my opinion, anything that is calling itself socialism, but is an autocratic dictatorship like the Communist Party is now, or like the Soviet Union was, is not socialism.
Yes, it is socialism. So what do you do with an S in its own name, Union of the Soviet Socialist Republics? I mean,
And
it's
the Democratic Republic of the Congo has democratic in it.
well, yeah, that's true, but they do not call themselves socialists. I understand they're not democratic either,
And
but
the
at
Nazis
least.
called themselves socialists because they thought
And the war, they absolutely
they were
were.
not.
Of course they were.
They were not at all.
Just to call just Volkswagen, for example. I mean, the populist
Because they had
policies.
a firm idea of who the people were. It was socialism for the nation and for only the
For the
nation.
Nazis, yeah, nationalists, of course. That's why it's. That's why they qualified socialism with the word national socialism, of course. It's not
And
socialist, it's national socialist, but socialist nonetheless. Well, guess what? I actually met a person who saw Hitler in person. Okay, he's the brother of Feufinger, the kind of famous novelist. I mean, thankfully he escaped to London just in time. So he spoke here in Manhattan several years ago, and I had a chance, to hear and watch him and even exchange a few words with him. So he showed he saved his notebook when he was a child, like 8 or 10 years old. That's when he saw Hitler, and there was a hammer and sickle right there. I mean, changed a little bit to match kind of the Nazi symbols.
It's symbolism.
Yeah, but it's
All it is
socialist.
symbol.
Then the words have no meanings. Socialism is not socialism.
Has a meaning.
Black is white. How was Orwell's famous kind of phraseology?
Orwell was a socialist.
Yeah, I know that. But then he saw, of course. But there's the thing is that he was socialist. But then when he finally realized what it's all about, that's what changed his mind.
He was still socialist.
Well,
he was still socialist.
well, but he
He was against the Soviet Union, but he was still a socialist.
So 1984, the Animal Farm. It's like.
Animal Farm was an analysis of what went wrong in the Soviet Revolution.
Well, exactly. In any revolution, for that matter, in any so-called socialist countries, they're all the same. They absolutely follow exactly the same pattern. Every single one of them have been and will be.
Orwell wrote about what was and what is, and not about what he wanted to be as much.
Okay.
Not in the books that he's quoted in.
Okay. I mean, it all ends up the same way. And if you don't believe it, I mean, good luck.
Capitalism ends up the same way too.
Well, the only difference is that it lifts the people out of poverty. It lifted the billions in China. It lifted the Russians, millions, hundreds of millions of million Russians out of poverty as well. Eastern Europeans.
We're on a crash course into the limits of environmental growth of our planet.
So what does that have to do with socialism? You think that socialism is taking care of the environment? Man, I crisscrossed the USSR. You should see the horror that I'm inflicting.
Taking the USSR as an example of what I want. It's not.
It doesn't matter what you want. You might want paradise to descend on the whole world. I mean, it's utopia. I'm talking about the real world. I don't want it to live in utopian world. Will never materialize. Never, ever.
Yes.
It will. So you believe in utopia, in other words.
I don't believe in utopia. I honestly do not. I believe that a better system is possible.
But that's utopia because it never happened. The best system that we have today is here in America, like a real world. That's the best system that has ever been created.
A system that exploits people in other countries, that is careening towards environmental disaster and has always been.
I see.
Industrialization has been fueling a burgeoning disaster that everyone.
Thanks to industrialization, wearing this mask, wearing this cap, most importantly, having this very sophisticated phone, you have this ukulele, you're wearing these shoes, and this plastic bag. all thanks to industrialization. We would have had none of
I'm not
that.
against industrialization.
Well, you just said that you're against. You just started that it screwed up the whole world. It screwed up the environment. So,
under capitalism.
but there's no other industrialization. That's exactly right. Because all this so-called
Socialism
social,
was a movement of industrialization.
they are backwards country. What was the last time that they purchased from Russia? I mean, can you name a single product? I mean, you can say made in China, you can say made in Honduras, made in Canada, made in the United States. When was the last time that you saw something stamped made in Russia? Anything. Name one product where you would see a stamp made in Russia. Not in Japan, not in Mexico, not in any industrialized country. Russia. When was the last time that you saw something made in North Korea?
Everything's stamped as made in China.
What about Russia? We're talking about Russia specifically. Nothing. And the reason you see made in China is precisely because China moved from a so-called, call it socialist, call it dictatorship, of course, which it's always been, to capitalism. I mean, they have a kind of funny system right now. They have a market economy.
The Soviet Union did that in 1920, like 3, with the NEP.
Did what?
They
Capitalism?
tried to move into a more capitalistic system. Yeah,
And guess what? When people were literally resorting to cannibalism after the revolution in
it wasn't good.
1920s, when they introduced the new economic policy, all of a sudden, almost overnight, miraculously, there's food. There's kielbasa, there's meat, there's provisions and clothing. I mean, it started flourishing. What they did, they decided to step back from the initial revolution. So don't tell me that socialism is something that works while capitalism doesn't, when it's just the other way around. And we have history to prove it. I mean, you don't have to go far, really. Just look around. You'll see for yourself.
I see plenty.
What's that?
I see plenty.
You see plenty. Okay, listen, if you want to live in your utopia, by all means, you're just a hypocrite. Because you're enjoying the products of capitalism, and yet you want me, because I'm totally against it, me and people like me, to bring where? To the horror place that I came initially from, called USSR, the shithole, the nightmare. Well, because there's no other. I mean, this lady just said that Cuba is is our goal, and you're with them. I see you're the same group. That's your opinion. You're with them.
No, I'm just standing around here.
Okay. You're helping. Got it.
I'm not affiliated with any of the groups here.
Got it. Okay. All right. Listen, my friend.
My opinions are my own, and I may agree with some of them, and I may
Okay, good. But trust me, socialism is a nightmare. Me, someone who spent 29 years behind curtain, telling you that.
Look,
So if you want to listen to me and trust me, well, that's your choice. If you want to live in utopia in the la la land, and yes, that's a choice. It's a free country. But there'll be fewer and fewer of us who will actually bear witness to the horrors of socialism. I'm one of those, and it's a horror story.
I am not denying what you faced was a horror.
But
I've never been denying what you
there are
faced.
no alternatives. Belief in capitalism, the only system that truly works. Market economy. I hate the word capitalism, by the way. Market economy is what works. Capitalism was created
Capitalism is
market.
not a market economy.
Well, yes. Well, I'm talking about
There were market economies under socialism. There were absolutely market economies under socialism.
Okay, I mean, we're going in circles. If you believe in that, you might just believe in aliens. All right, nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you.
Can you shake my hand like a man? All right, see ya.